Alright, in this example the formula is a equals the square root of ax plus ay. Once again, the little subscript x and y just indicate that the a's are all different. We're asked here to make ay the subject. Now before we can get ay by itself, it's under a square root sign along with this term. So we have to get rid of the square root sign. The inverse operation to the square root sign would be to square this side of the equal sign and also square this side. So we end up with a squared equals ax plus ay. Now it's easy to get ay by itself. All we've got to do is take away ax from both sides, and we're going to flip it over so that the ay is on the left. So the rearranged formula is ay equals a squared minus ax. We're being asked to find ay when a is 9 and ax is 43. We simply replace those letters with those numbers and do our calculation, which will be 9 squared minus 43. Now 9 squared of course is 81, so ay is equal to 81 minus 40, which is 41. Take away another 1, which is 40. Take away another 2 is 38 if we do the subtraction in our head. Alright, in this example, the formula, which you may or may not recognize, is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This happens to be the quadratic formula. It's how we find the solution to a quadratic equation that looks like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Anyhow, we don't really need to know that here. What we're being asked to do is take this complex looking formula and make c the subject. Now if we look where c is, it's underneath this square root sign. So our first order of business is to try and get this square root term by itself. Now one of the things we do first is to get rid of the divide by 2a. The opposite of divide is to multiply. So we multiply both sides by 2a. We end up with 2ax equals minus b plus or minus the square root part. Again, we haven't got this square root part by itself, but we have a minus b sitting here next to it. Now the minus b is just there, so we just add b to both sides and that will disappear on this side. So we end up with 2ax plus b equals plus or minus the square root part. Alright, so we now need to get rid of the square root, and we can do that by squaring both sides. Now we need to be careful when we're squaring. Over on this side there are two terms, so we have to group them in a bracket and square those whole thing. Over on this side, squaring this means this term times itself. A positive times a positive will give a positive, and a negative times a negative will also give a positive. So squaring this side will make the plus minus bit disappear into a positive, and the root sign will also disappear. So we have 2ax plus b in brackets all squared equals b squared minus 4ac. Now this bit b squared is still in a way. We have to get minus 4ac by itself. So we're going to take away b squared from both sides. And we end up with 2ax plus b all squared minus b squared equals negative 4ac. Now the best thing to do here is deal with this minus sign right away, because we are after positive c by itself. So if we multiply everything by negative 1, every term by negative 1, this will become a positive 4ac, this will become a positive b squared, and this term will become negative. So in effect they'll flip around. We'll just move the screen up to make some space. Okay, so we're going to multiply everything by -1, which will change the sign of every term. And there we have it. I'm also going to flip it around because I want the c on this side eventually. So positive 4ac now equals, this is changed sign to b squared, and this is changed sign to minus the whole bracket squared. You can see we've nearly got c by itself. I just have to divide both sides by 4a. Dividing all by 4a leaves the c by itself, and we end up with this complex sort of formula on the right hand side where everything has been divided by 4a. Alright, now they're going to ask us to find c when b is 9, a is 4 and x is -1. So everywhere those letters appear, we replace them with these numbers. So b is 9 squared, which is 81. 2ax is 2 times 4 times -1, plus 9 in the bracket, that bracket's being squared, and 4 times 4 down the bottom. So 9 squared is 81. Have to do the bracket first, BODMAS. 2 times 4 times -1 is -8, plus 9. And 4 times 4 down the bottom is 16. Now I have to do that bracket, -8 plus 9 is equal to +1. And so I have 81 minus 1 squared over 16. 81 minus 1 is 80. And 80 over 16 simplifies to 5. And so that is the value of c for this problem.